Cool. Okay, good. I'm making commentary about this. Here we go.
Canceled, or we're gonna be like, you're right. So here we go. I'm just gonna say it. Black people have got to stop hanging out with groups of white people. And I mean that. If you're
It's not that not hanging around groups of white people. Stop being naive and thinking that white people are all good. Same thing with those who are white people hang with African people. Not all African people are good either. There's good and bad in every group. And let me tell you something. As a Black American, that is also mixed with white and Native and Hispanic origin, because that's my ancestry. My ancestry is the reason why I'm here. You cannot negate because it was a long time ago in penis vagina of those people who contribute to my parents, my grandparents, and so on. It's the reason why I'm here, and my ancestors are not 100% African. So let me say this. I've been around the only so-called pure black, but I'm not pure black, I'm multiracial, but you know what I'm saying? Person with African descent in the white situation. What kept me safe? I've been in racist situations. I've been in different situations before. What kept me safe was not mindset, not thinking as a victim, always be racial conscious, and what also would debunk the argument right there, how I know a white person is racist. When I say I'm mixed and I go detail of my family tree, and you start turning your head and try to ignore it or look at me weird or resentment, because you, if you were not racist, you would never even deny the fact that we are multiracial. See, every time I hear these videos, I get it. Cause in the South, and hope I am not related to the asshole that killed Nolan Wells, because I have white racist long distance cousins do when I do my family tree in Mississippi, Alabama, and the racist ones I don't want to see their ugly asses. So the point is, I reject rejection, okay? But this is the thing: since I know that it's racist, I'm not going to go visit and say, "Hello, guess who comes in dinner?" Saint Party and say I'm your cousin. They have to prove to me, and that's I just to everybody, regardless of their race, because I've been through a lot. People mistreated me. My own family mistreated me. People at school mistreated me. People at work mistreated me. You have to prove to be my friend or someone I can trust based on your behavior and show that you are real. I'm not going to sit here and take my guard down and let you walk over me. That's with anybody. Nolan Wells' parents, his dark-skinned father, who not fully black either, but looks pure black, and his mother, who's Blasian, could have told him about his history, his heritage. One thing I get tired, and I'm looking at the dark-skinned brother, because to him, everybody see him as a black man, especially he's darker than me, because I'm about Nolan's complexion, okay? We both camera skin. The mom was very bright skinned because she's part Asian. The point I'm trying to say is that he's told to ignore his non-black roots because everybody gonna see he's a black man. But I don't give a damn. Whatever your family tree is in your family tree, you still your ancestors' child. I don't care what anyone say. You need how to give it a Blaze woman. There are sisters that's Nolan and my complexion and lighter, or even dark skin sisters contribute to a light skinned child because their ancestry is mixed. There's no pure Black American. I don't know why they everyone want to ignore it, but that if you tell the truth, it hurts. We're mixed. Ever since your ancestors, white woman, okay? Enslaved. And yes, the African kings and queens and shit, they contribute to the slave trade. That's why some of these Africans who don't like us, that's why some of us did go vote for Trump. Not only because, I'm mixed with Hispanic to Spanish Creole, but some racist Hispanic, but it's also these Africans who don't like us. When we're trying to get services and trying to get help, talk to us just like these white people they did to Nolan Wells. Some of these Asian, Nolan was part Asian. Some of these Asians, and we know that white supremacists do use immigrants of color, whether they're Latino, Caribbean, African, Asian, or Eastern, to do their dirty work. They even use people in our own African community to do that. The dope deals, okay, you talking about hang a bunch of white people. I'm gonna use the N word because these brothers don't call themselves kings, they call themselves niggas. And when they call themselves a nigga, they are brainwashing themselves to be the white racist man's narrative of what black is, the black inferior complex. These in the just like the sundown town is dangerous, so is the hood. If Nolan was in the hood, a bunch of brothers would have done the same thing to him too. And that's the point is you in any situation you cannot be naive. Whether you in a wealthy white neighborhood or in a trailer park neighborhood or whatever, because people have evil spirits. We're human. We're not God. So people are going to sin. You just your own family can be your own judge. And I know that Matthew 10 in the Bible, because that's my life. Woo! Your own mom and daddy can be your own enemy in your house, your grandma. So you cannot sit here and say just because they white. But I will say you have some truth to your saying because you're a full blown white woman and I'm not fully white. Okay, I don't look white, but I am mixed with it. Okay, and this is my family tree. The point of African American, French, Spanish, Creole, English, Irish, Scottish, and American, I don't go by the one drop rule. We are mixed race black people. I'm getting tired of that. The truth of the matter is, you know more about being white than I do. I know about being mixed with white and admitted and not looking white. Okay? So, based on my experience at 40, near 47 years old, when I'm open my big ass mouth about me being multiracial and about my ancestry, and some white people change their tune with me because I know it's different. When fully people who say fully black, they not fully black. I don't care. So-called black Americans are not fully black. But when they identify with the one drop rule and say they full black, they get more respect from someone that killed Nolan Wells than I do. If I came in that circle and say I'm multiracial and I don't give them can kiss my ass and I'm gonna be vocal, people can lick my dick in the head, you know what I'm saying? I said what I said because I'm not a kiss assing person. Okay, now I don't mean to curse, but I don't like it when people assume about me. I'm gonna have to go hardcore to make sure people don't make assumptions about me. I accept rejection. And soon I say that, and they start looking at me weird and treat me different. That's how I know they're racist. Because they were not racist. They said, "Oh, okay, you got this in your blood. Okay, you French, and I got Scottish and Irish, excuse me, and I have white people, individuals who done it to me too, who be nice about that as well. I'm not saying they're all white people, but I met white people who are not. And they start, but then the person identifies black, even though they're my shade, they're lighter than me, they're darker than me, their heritage is different. Wherever they feel to we all look like we're mixed. They get more respect until they take them to a place like what happened in Ireland or the judge house and show their real self. But by me meaning that I'm multiracial and having white heritage in the family tree, that white person that's racist is trying to cover up is going to change their tune. And that's how I know that's not a person to hang around with. And I like kiss my mixed ass and get out my motherfucking face. Okay, I'm sorry to cuss, but it gets on my nerves. I cuss on this thing because you got dumbass people who are trying to make lies about me. Y'all don't know exact behind closed doors unless you God, Jesus Christ. When white racist people cover up their ass and they start act like they're for me, but as soon as I start name dropping my background, because I don't hide it, I'm not gonna sit here and pass for full black as a one drop rule because the master say so. That's when they start, ugh, oh really? You know what I'm saying? If you show interest, let's say you like a person that happen to be white, they anybody been in a racial relationship. African American people, we already got a lot of blood. So that's why we sometimes we end up liking white folks. It's not blood. You end up mentioning a person that have love interest of. Guess what that white supremacist gonna do who's trying to hide, gonna look at you weird, trying to sabotage race. That's how you know they're a racist. Their body language, their talking points. And that's what I would say that Nolan, I don't know Nolan's parents, that's what they feel. Me being researching racism, reading about it, taking sociology class 20 years ago at Potsdam College, and I was out loud in that classroom. I passed with an A, okay, back in 2006 in my fall semester. Reading about race and researching my background to know why I'm going through this situation. Actually, researching my ancestry taught me more about history than the history class in school. That's why, by me being aware, that keeps me safe in those situations compared to someone who's naive. What it was, in my opinion, because we don't know Nolan person, this Blasian brother did not know about racism. The parents, in my opinion, lived in La La Land. Because I would not live in a white area in the South. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't. Okay, I'm not saying every white person in the South is racist, and you and I do have that European American Southern blood, even though I don't look like you. But being educated when I was doing my mama's ancestry and her white third grandmother, which is my fourth grandmother to me, um, it taught me in 2016, 10 years ago, how to be aware of white racist people since it's in my ancestry. I already knew I was mixed with white, but when I got technical, when I traced my lineage to Texas, Alabama, I forgot about South Carolina, but Virginia, Georgia to England, and so and I'm late to the day of bacon, it taught me spiritually how to look at a white person, how to watch their talking points, behavior, especially when the bomb situation when people was getting shot by police. It was shot on Black Lives Matter at that time 10 years ago. The point where it taught me to be aware and not be naive and not be the damn victim. Always come as the victor of the outcome. Never be the victim. And that's why young people like Nolan, when I talk to elderly people, because some of the elderly people are brainwashed in our family trees who are African descended, and they talk like victims, but then if they want to be bullies, act like the colonizer in our family tree. Act like same as, and that's the truth. I call like it's not all elders. I don't believe with the kids. When I was getting with murder was on my mind. I'm be real with you, okay? So that's the reason why it's like we can't look at you. You might went to Jim Crow, but you sure acting like your oppressor towards me. That's what comes up with a lot of these younger people's head. Cause I was there. No, I'm 47. I'm 47. So excuse me. I'm Generation X, but I was in that age group one period of time, and I can't listen to you because you sitting here telling me these people are bad, but you talking to me like them and you gonna make an excuse why I would not know. And okay, well, you out of Jim Crow, you out of well, you wasn't a slave, a long time ago, but you descended of that. There's no excuse to act like we back in the day, and stop trying to ask to go back in the day. Because me and some people in our community I met wish they could go back to segregation. Hell no, I'm glad Martin King broke the barrier for us so we have freedom. Because I embrace freedom, not oppression. Okay, I like to do things my way. Okay. So let's go on because I've been running my mouth. Go ahead.
If you're gonna be the only black person in that group, go home. Go home.
Okay, so you said go home. So my question is to you as a pure white woman. Do you do that? If you a bunch of African descent people or white people and the person African descent is in your group, are you gonna engage in that? Because if you are the good white woman and you see African descent people being oppressed, you as the good white woman will be the one to stop it. You don't want to try to save that person in that time. But the accuracy in person needs to stop being a victim and stop ignoring their history, stop ignoring their ancestry, stop going on people's narrative, stop going on with ignorance because it's bliss to everybody. Pick up a damn book about history. Don't hate everybody based on race. Look at people based on character and not let your guard down. That's the reason why I've been in places where I was the only accuracy in person. And you know how I survived? Not being a damn victim. Knowing my history, knowing my rights, making sure people that I ain't in the play with. Okay? And I ain't the perfect part of me cussing and talking vocal, but guess what? I do pray. And it's one thing that I don't understand in this whole thing. Why are you not telling your children to, if you are a Christian or you're Protestant or Catholic or Orthodox, why are you telling your children to pray before they even leave the house? That's one thing that Nolan should have done. And I bet you if you would pray 9, 10, this would not happen. But if you let your spiritual guard down, the devil is ready to come after you any moment.
Because these days, you just can't trust white people anymore. Obviously, it happens time and time and time again.
You can't trust nobody. I don't care what your color is. Because just like in the hood, there's many cases. Look at Kanika Jenkins. She was in the hotel coming from the hood, and people of African descent helped killed her. For the white people, they happen to be Satanists in Hollywood and giving some kidney to a mixed race, part Latina, part white person, in my opinion. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I love you like a love song, baby. You can know who I'm talking about. And Zach TV wouldn't lie. I do, because now this case with somebody for who is Salvadoran with more little Afro Latina in her dead, found dead on her 15th birthday. Her older boyfriend, adult boyfriend, was friends with that I love you like a love song, baby, husband. Y'all can use code words. I do believe that she had that kidney. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I hate the fact she shared the same name as the person who sings Tahano music and was sadly killed in 95. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Hold on.
White friends. And they're like, oh, I've known these guys for forever. We grew up with them. I'm the only black person in the high school or something like that. Especially down here in the South, okay? Down here in the South. Obviously, we realize that these pieces of crap, the white people, will turn on you. They will turn on you quick. So not only do y'all have to be worried about the police, now you need to be worried about your group of white friends that you grew up with.
I'll be worried about whoever in the South. Because let me tell you something. I hate being in the South. All thing I like about that we have gun laws compared to doggone pro Second Amendment compared to the North down there in New York and L.A. and Chicago where crime is very rampant. Um, in the South, I don't trust hard nobody. Okay, and let me break it down to you. I'm not the true Southerner here. I'm born in the South, raised in the South, hated it. Thank God for different influences growing up as a kid. But spiritually, and no offense, I'm not anti-Protestant, but I'm not Protestant. I used to be Protestant. So being Catholic in the South, and not sad I see people who are Catholic buying to the Southern WASP ideology, that is annoying. It is annoying. I see on EWTN. We don't need those that don't know. I know I'm cursing, some Catholic person coming to about you. Okay, I ain't the perfect one. God, Jesus Christ, help me alone. Not your behind is human. As I was saying, I get mistreated. I've been mistreated before behind, and I'm not gonna ever give up my religion that I joined at 13 years old. Never. You had to kill me. The point is, the reason why I brought that up, because I'm not saying there are untrustworthy people in the Catholic Church too. And the church does teach us about that. That's why a lot of folks don't read the catechism and the Bible verses that the church teaches from Scripture. The point I'm trying to say is that it will teach you to trust everybody. If Judas betrayed Jesus, his apostles turned against him, including St. Peter, who later on brought the same church. We call the Catholic Church the Rome, First Peter chapter 5:13, the same church that Jesus built in Jerusalem, the Rock of Peter in Matthew 16. It would teach you not to trust everybody. But when I was Protestant Baptist, they teach you a doormat forgiveness, not a true version of forgiveness. You say you forgive the person and you receive them back and they continue to abuse you again and use a punching bag and a doormat. There's a lot of fake people who claim to be Christian. They think their interpretation is legit. I'm sorry, it's not, but I'm not going to debate with that. That's not the problem. The problem I'm trying to say about it, twisting the Bible does cause people to be fake. And that's in this idea that only is one saved, always saved. Well, Jesus says, and I said, I'm the perfect. I admit this lie. I'm not the perfect one. That law will not go to heaven, Matthew 7. You can't walk the wall, talk. The reason why these folks get away with that, accurate, seeing people do wrong, they want to have accurate, seeing people who hate LGBT community, but they out here fornicating and something involving in lesbianism, and they make their own personal sinful judgment that it's okay for two women to be together, like some of the white people to say this, but not two men. But both having sex with the same sex, whether you're female or male, is still wrong. Having different baby mamas, looking at porn is wrong. Having adultery, killing your baby in the womb, which is abortion, is murder. But these same people say they're saved and they don't have no guilt. I'm gonna go to heaven anyway. That's why they do what they do. Well, same thing when it comes to white people. A lot of white people in the South are Protestant. especially Baptists, and they don't examine their conscience. Okay, they don't admit that they're wrong. Not saying all, but many of them don't. So when they're doing wrong, they think that God overlooks their sin because they believe Jesus is saved, Jesus is Lord. When Jesus, his Lord, said, "Lord, Lord," and not go to heaven. So that's one thing, the reason why these white people in the South who are racist, who claim to be Christian, would pretend to be Christian and do evil things and think they're not going to suffer the consequences when they leave this world. That's the reason why they do that stuff. Okay? And I'm glad about the spiritual part because, like I say, I know it's that when we go to Mass, we do admit that we're sinners. When I was a Protestant, oh, I'm not a sinner no more. That's not true. You still curse, you still act, and you have plenty of people, different baby mamas, different that. Like people we talk about, they love to bring up the sexual abuse in the Catholic Church, but excuse me, the Baptist Church, the Southern Baptist Convention, been doing that for years. There were many of the slave masters were violating the women, the kids, butt breaking the men, and then go to church and then lynch a brother and say we have to pick nigga at the Sunday school. Okay? All these claims the Southern Baptist Convention have sex abuse scandals, they've been going on since slavery. Y'all late. So y'all always trying to attack the Catholic Church on that. The reason why we have such scandals in the Catholic Church because we have Satanists coming in our church trying to destroy it. And they in y'all churches too. Shout out to Zachary King, who was former Baptist, later became Catholic. He talked about that too. They sit in the back of the pew and cause a scandal and make lies in the church. So you start fighting, arguing, and then scandal and get the news. And the idea is to get people to start believing in God. Okay, all these scandals that many people are satanic, join churches, go to Bible colleges. They were Protestant or Catholic or Orthodox. They pretend to be holy down. They know how to walk, talk in your face, but behind closed evil. They're causing that. And there's one thing: a lack of discernment. In the South, is people think, and I tell people who come down south who are from New York, they say, "Oh, everybody is so manable and nice." I'm like, but in New York, you can't. No one speak. I said, I'd rather be in New York. At least I know who's my enemy because they don't want to say hi to me. But in the South, they smile in your face like Temptation Stone. They smile in your face and backstab you, and that's why everybody thinks that you are saved. And everybody calls it the Bible Belt. When this became a Bible Belt, when ever since slavery was big here. There's nothing bad about that. How we were getting lynched on Sunday afternoons excuse me, there's nothing. People were getting raped. Slave masters who claim to be pastors at churches raping slaves, schooling children. When this place has became a Bible Belt, because some of them claim they know the Bible, which they don't. Okay, they claim they know certain texts of the Bible, and that's it. That's the biggest heretical act I ever come I heard about the South. And if it was the Bible, this man would not be dead. Don't first all and I'm not trying to bash they said they were doing drugs and drinking at their party. They wouldn't even do that. They be all having good innocent fun time and nobody came back home if this was the Bible South. The hypocrisy of that. People claim to be Christian. Now everybody's saying, wow, witchcraft and Satanism is a growing religion. Well, y'all have contributed to it. When you twist Bible verses, when you claim to be, you're making false interpretation of that holy word, when you attack the church that Jesus founded, whether you like it or not, okay? All right? Yes, the Catholic Church is the church that Jesus founded. When you sit here and make your own version of your own church based on your own interpretation, based on your opinion, your human sin ways come in interpretation, then you want to mistreat people. Then you want to bring your biases, your racism into it. That's why witchcraft, Satanism, occult is the fast growing religion because y'all contribute to that. Then people got mad at that white woman at Satan con tearing that Bible up. Part of me did not get mad. I'm not laughing at God. What I'm laughing at is a nation that been tearing the Bible scriptures up to do wrong and try to justify their behavior. That's the reason why. So that's why these white folks feel they don't move in the South, feel like they nothing because they've been lied to by their grandparents who have a false interpretation of the word. And some of the activists and people have a false interpretation of the word. And trust me, if it was the Bible Belt South, I want to talk about how New York is nasty and it's homosexual and all this stuff. Well, if that was the case, no one would be alive right now if this was the Bible Belt and everybody was Christian. Go
And I'm
ahead.
saying every white person's like that. No, obviously not. Okay. But better be safe than sorry, right? And that's a shame.
It's a shame. It's a shame because you as a white woman saying to be careful, but why would you tell everybody as a white woman saying that don't hang with a bunch of white people? Because there are good white people too. There's also if I brought you in the hood, white sister, I know some acting saying people that mistreat you, and you hang around them with a bunch of brothers and sisters. I tell you straight up, yeah, we all mixed and they identify as black, but don't hang with them, they not good. I don't even want to hang with them, they no good. So it go both ways. It go both ways. See, in this case, a lack of discernment is what the problem is. It's not technically, it is a racial situation, but it's also not one because the parents should have told Nolan to have discernment. Stop thinking that everybody's your friend. When I got this, you know how I learned that? Being bullied, being abused by family, being bullied at school, being mistreated at work. I live alone. I live alone. And it's peaceful. That sometimes but I say, nah, I'd rather be alone than be around people because you don't know that person. That person's spirit, their energy is terrible. But I'm not saying, and I see why as a Catholic Christian, we're taught that the body of Christ was suffered like Jesus on the cross. And I learned that my suffering taught me to be not naive. I'm not thankful that I went to abuse. I'm not thankful I was bullied in school. But it taught me not to trust anybody, regardless of their race. And I think that that's one thing that Nolan parents should have told him to not be trustworthy of anybody, regardless of their race. Even these friends of yours, watch your back. Because I don't ever want to teach my kid a certain race of people you cannot trust. But I will tell my future kids that I do have sperm in my penis, okay? You know, I'm near 50 years old. I chose not to have children because I don't want my children living in poverty until I get financially prepared. And yes, I do love women people because I have a single voice. I think I don't love women. I do want to get married. I got to be the head of the household. I cannot have Section 8, food stamps, government, or be a homosexual living in one house. Okay? I gotta be the head of the house. I'm not doing that shit. So until I get my financial gain, that's when I go seek a woman out. So because I got prepared for her and my kid. But I would teach my kid never to trust everyone. Anybody can be your enemy, including your own family. And if Nolan Wells had that mindset, he would probably not be on that trip. He probably because something was fishy and it was somebody in their crew didn't get along. Let me say this. In any situation, if you a group of friends and some of your crew ain't cool with you, be careful. Same thing would happen with Shaquita Robinson. She had different shades of African people on her trip and paid for their trip to go to Mexico. Okay? And the problem is they paid for her to go to Mexico. This the thing, baby. Dumb old grateful motherfuckers, I mean the cuss, beat her up in Mexico and killed her and left her and lied, just like these white dudes did. And they from the South. It tells you not everybody is your friend. Okay? And I do stay prayed up. There's sometimes I get tired of praying, but I have to make myself pray. You know what I'm saying? Stay prayed up. I ain't the perfect. Yes, I'm cussing, all that. I'm human. May God help me alone to change my behavior. But I'm going to tell it like it is. Don't leave that house without praying. Okay, I'm not saying be abusive, spiritual abuse toward your child. Do it in a loving manner that would be encouraging manner. But that's what should be better for Nolan and any other young man because he wasn't a child, he's an adult. Those kids were not a kid, well, I don't want to say kids. The young people were adults. When they pass 18 years old, they're adults. Okay? This young man should have learned that. Not everybody's your friend, regardless of what race. And by him being mixed, he didn't know that. Because most African people mixed, and I see why a lot of us don't admit that because if you identify with your multiracial background, you're gonna learn not everybody is your friend, include those who identify as mixed. Now I made a mistake of that. Get around, no, it was not the golden spear, because I want somebody lying. When I was on mixedfolks.com, the first time he had outrage of mixed race identified saying I'm not mixed. But I stand my ground and say I am. Before that, when I was mixed, I was in different mixed race groups, identified groups, and I let it be known how I look like, and I wouldn't lie. And I was people see me as mixed. I know people lied at me with different hair texture, and I worked different places. Oh, you are that okay? You cool? Yeah, it was not everything. Majority of my before that was a warm welcome. But when I met people who was racist as mixed race people, that's when it became. But I did not let them stop me. If I'm a multiracial heritage, they can go get a whole bunch of people, bully me and all that. I am not gonna change what they. I'm a stubborn ass Leo. You're not gonna change me. Okay? You can try to do anything. It's not gonna change because I'm that Leo. Okay? They'll play out. Yeah, I'll be 47 soon. Leo season. Listen, it's on the way, y'all. Okay? But I'm just telling you, you ain't gonna change me. Period. I don't change with nobody. Truth is true where folks don't like it. Okay? But me personally, I wish if I was Nolan's father, I would tell him don't trust everybody. Don't trust the white. Don't trust the black. Don't trust the Hispanic. Don't trust whatever. The Asian, whatever. I would tell you can't trust nobody, period. The only person you can trust is who? The Lord.
Just keep seeing it happen. And like over the past, like, you know, what, 2 or 3 years especially, if you know what I'm talking about, people have just gotten louder and prouder about it. So really it all boils down to like a lack of empathy these days. That's a whole other subject though.
It's not these days.
Yeah,
They've been taught a lack of empathy from their dumbass parents. And we do have accuracy in people, and I'm going to admit on my end. Do y'all know why I go hardcore about my multiracial identity and why I advocate not to be racist? Because I have people in my own family that's racist, who don't like whites, who don't like Hispanics, who don't like. So when I mention I'm mixed, they don't like that because they know that we're not pure black. Okay, that we know that we have white in us and native in us. And then they was my mom's side was shocked that we have experienced origin from Louisiana, not Mexico. So, point is, besides French Creole, they forgot that Spain was Louisiana too. And that's what kept me. And I'm like, how can you teach me about God and Jesus, but you tell me to hate somebody? And that's why I'm glad, and I don't mean, I know I'm cursing, but I'm glad in the Bible. What's that, Matthew? Let me go in my Bible. I'm going on my phone. Hold on, baby. Go to my phone. Go to my Bible. Actually, I have my Bible in my closet. Hold on, y'all. I ain't the perfect. I know I've been cussing. Okay, I ain't trying to be blasphemy thing, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. The reason why these white people and Africans and Hispanic people racist, because they evil parents. Okay. Now I'm going. I don't care. Go ahead and call me crazy, because somebody gotta tell the truth. Okay, because that's what these evil narcissistic parents tell their kids. You do what I say. I'm your mama, and God told me to do. Okay, they're all trying to throw God in there. But what did Jesus say in Matthew 10? Hold up. Okay, and yes, I'm not reading no bisexual King James version. I'm not reading that. In the Catholic Church, we don't do. We have a New American Bible Revised Edition. I don't read the bisexual King James version. Okay, I said bisexual because he was bisexual. Don't even know that history. How y'all still don't? Okay, it's like, y'all, because y'all get on my nerve when you trying to tell some truth. Being a nice person, being naive, nice, like Nolan, and had people. That's why I act the way I do. Okay, hold on. So Matthew 10. Hold up, we're gonna go in scripture. Because one thing about the scripture tells you if you love your father more, brothers and sisters, more you love you. You don't love Jesus, you don't love you're not a disciple of his. Okay? Hold up, baby. Because the reason why the kids are racist. Because hold up, we're gonna talk about this. All right. The cause of the vision, Jesus. Do not think I came to bring peace. Do not think I have came to bring peace upon the earth. I have come. Excuse me. I have come to bring not peace, but the sword. For I have come to set a father against a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and one's enemies will be those of his household. This condition of discipleship. Whoever loves mother more than me is no disciple of is not worthy of me. Whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses life for my sake will find it. So, the reason why I read that, because if you let your father and brother, sister, family members tell you to hate another person based on race, you are not following the Lord. Just because it does say to honor your parents does not mean you have to sin. That's, hold up, Matthew 18. Hold on, and I ain't the perfect one. I know I'm the perfect. Hold on, baby. There's one thing y'all don't teach. This, okay, hold up. We gonna get this to the nitty gritty. That's the reason why we got this problem. Okay? Hold up, I ain't finished. About throw to the sea, hold on. Temptation, sin, hold on. All right, okay. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, how I'm trying to find where it says that if you uh is it Matthew 18 where okay, yeah, whoever calls these little ones who believe me to sin, it is better for him to have a greater milestone hung around his neck and to be thrown into the depths of the sea. So these people need to be thrown to the sea. Not to say that he should, but the Jesus, the Lord God, man, did not agree with teaching children to sin. A parent's job is to teach your child to love and this and that. And the reason why I was not respectful to my parents, because they were sinful towards me. They abused me. They mistreated me. And yes, I'll go ahead and admit they also taught me to be racist. Why you think I'm so rebellious about the multiracial identity we know and multiracial ancestry we know? Okay? So they thought they parentership, they can teach me to do anything. That's not true. They're not supposed to teach me to hate someone based on their race or ethnicity. That's against the Lord. Period. And they don't read Matthew 18. One thing my grandma did one time, man, she didn't know that part of the Bible. She knew the Old Testament and some Pauline letters. And that's what they always twist. That's what St. Peter warned in 2 Peter chapter 3, 15, 17. 15, 17. Us Catholics know about that. That's why I'm not Protestant. Because outside of the church, when Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, he made his own interpretation of the Bible. The Bible is against that. In 2 Peter chapter 1, chapter 1, 2021, there's no privacy of personal interpretation of scripture. That's why you have different denominations. A divided body, as St. Paul said in Corinthians, okay, with one body, one church, one Christ. And there were 7 churches. Well, the 7 churches had a one belief. They didn't have different interpretation of the Bible. I'm trying to bring to that in the river. People always trying to distort that too. The point I'm trying to say is that those people, those white people in the South are taught, just like as some African people, because I've seen people say, well, black parents don't teach it. Excuse me. I argued with my own mother about her own racism. I argued with my own father about his own racism, which is why they never liked to be mentioning my multiracial background. Because if it wasn't for them being multiracial down the family tree, they wouldn't be here. Ooh, see, I have to tell the truth. I've been covering this up because it's embarrassing. But I have family members that taught me to be racist, and I had to rebel against that because that was wrong. It was against my conscience. Now you see why I don't have this anti-white. There's many times when I was on the street, there was some white people trying to set me up, but I got they behind in a whole lot of trouble. Like Proverbs 9:7, don't crack a man, he creates you earn the internet. That's me. Okay? Um, but when I was on the street, white people gave me money, baby. I didn't ask for no. I practice law of attraction. I say my prayers and command what I want, and God gave it to me, and that's how I survived on the street. And I was coming from Fitness Connection, April last year. It was raining, and I was like, "How I'm going to, you know, oh Lord, it's raining, lightning." April, late April after Easter, a white couple out of the blue saw me coming with my luggages from Fitness Connection. It was 25 Fitness, excuse me. And saw I put myself in the basket, because the basket didn't want the basket near the area, right? So they saw me in doing thunder, and lightning, rain. They gave me $120. I wasn't begging for nobody in the rain. I just came in from taking a shower at the gym. It's when I finished last year in April. This is the reason why I argue you white woman saying that you hang with a bunch of white people, because I had white people on Christmas Eve of 2020 when I was on the street, gave me soup, food. Sorry, y'all. So the cry. Well, it was cold. A white woman, her daughter, gave me food, plenty of food, and late night 2 in the morning, 12 in the morning, 12 in the morning on Christmas Eve when it was cold in West University, Houston, Texas. Sorry, y'all. And they gave me some sleeping bag, soup. So when you say that about all white people, that's maybe you. Because I'm starting to question that. Because you was a white woman, and I'm sorry I'm crying because it really hurt my heart. Oh, Lord. You may be racist. Because my question is to you, white woman. If you around a bunch of white people and there's people African descent and like the only one there, are you gonna stand up for that African descent, or just let it go on? I bet you at the party when Nolan Wells was getting abused, mistreated, and killed, you probably wouldn't step in. You wasn't a white woman savior. So that's why I have to question these white people saying, don't hang with a bunch of white people, because I had white individuals help me out. Yes, as a person that has European ancestry, who's African American, French, Spanish, Creole, English, Irish, Scottish, American, look black to society, no cameras can black that. The truth of the matter is, I know it's racist white people. I studied, I watched the signs and behavior to be on the lookout. And by me identifying my multiracial identity does give you a lens, because you identify with truth. You're not going on people's narrative, they false narrative. You see, when you identify with truth, you see things different compared to someone living in a facade. And but to sit here and make videos saying that all not trust, excuse me, this been going on for years, way before your ass was even born. I'm sorry to cuss, okay? Before I was born. But I sense the reason why people are naive, because they don't seek the knowledge to fight against it. And I do that every freaking day. because I do not want to be a victim. I want to be the victor. And that's the problem that I have an issue with some African people teaching our children to be victims. See, we're always losing because we have a victim mentality. We need to repent that and have a victim mentality because you have to renew your mind. And in Romans, it talks about that. People talking about law of attraction pay. No, it's not. In Romans, I forgot what part of Romans, it tells you to renew your mind. You have to renew your mind. Harriet Tubman renewed her mind. Farrah does renew your mind. That's why you saw a few people being free. There were people Africans who were free and people who were enslaved because the slaves were not educated. That's why they stayed in captivity. Keyword educated in the book of Hosea, people suffer lack of knowledge. And that's the reason why I argue down to T with this even about a Bible out to tell you straight up that you over here promoting this because maybe your behind is just as racist as the people in it. Because if you this white woman savior, you need to tell because I'm not a full on white man. I'm part white down the family tree. Like me as African, we are technically part white in the Native American besides African. But you who fully white and pass and white don't even have to worry about pass because you're a fully white woman. But you should be, and you the good white woman and trying to act like you are, you should be the one out here telling these white people or confronting them of their racism instead of telling accuracy and people don't hang a bunch of white people. Because, excuse me, I had white people help me out. And I'm going to give you another story and I'm going to cry about this too. Okay, so I was going back to my Catholic Christian faith because I was lapsed of it after I became Catholic and there was some anti-Catholic presence and I was reading biblical Catholic apologetics to keep my, because I'm not becoming a Protestant. 2001, 21 years old, I went to St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas. Y'all know what I'm talking about? By Montrose area. They doing Lent, they had an event. So I missed the bus 78 used to go on Alabama, but not no more. So I was walking and I was trying to get to downtown so I can catch my bus and go back home. So while walking on Alabama Street going towards 45, if y'all know what I'm talking about, it's late at night. And I forgot that because even though the Catholic University, the other part of the community is also LG community. I was not there for that reason. I'm there for a event doing Lent, teaching about biblical stuff, the Catholic Church at University of Houston, University of St. Thomas. So I'm walking, I go to the store to get some O'Henry bars, get on chocolate bars. I come out, there are a bunch of neo-Nazis. I kid you not, bald headed with Nazi signs, and I guess they're looking for LGBT community, gay people, because when they're in that area, they're trying to jump somebody and beat up somebody. So when they saw me as a person of African descent, even though I identify as a mixed, have a mixed race background, I'm multiracial, I went in and I told the Arab man, I'm not coming outside. I said, I'm staying here. So a white man said, I'll take it. I said, excuse me, you do not. And I straight up, just like you said, white people will do this. I told that white man in the car, you do not set me up. Did you know that white man passed in the car, passed up those neo-Nazi skinhead thugs and took me downtown to catch my bus? That was like in March. It was during March or April of 2001. I was 21 years old. So that's the reason why I disagree with your stance. Because instead of telling people not to trust anybody, because that's when you tell people and tell them to make themselves be trustworthy, you're going by a racial mess. And like I say, I know because I have white, you could be my long distance white cousin. There are a bunch of redneck white, it's a culture. But I also got to have a mind to say not every white person thinks that way. Just like you have white people telling their kids, don't hang a bunch of accuracy people or Hispanic people because they thugs, they're in gangs, they children on welfare, all this other stuff. And they be out there because of the cookout. Do you know what I'm saying? And there are crimes that accuracy individuals or Hispanic have jumped a white person in hate crime. Yes, there are. So, yes, there are. And I've been in the African community, and I'm going to be real with you. I was in Third Ward, that Columbia Trail that divides right there by TSU. Everybody go So I'm going to the store, and I went to the back area to go to the store. The white man was minding his business. And a dark skinned brother who was gaming said, "You old cracker, hunky, whatever," and try to attack him. So then I came in, and when the dude left, I said, "You would call laws?" I told the white man. He said, "No." I said, "No, that's wrong." I said, "He should not be doing that to you." Okay? That was a sundown town situation, and it's the hood. And y'all see on YouTube that Columbia trial. But I was even scared because I heard, because even us acting as if you get robbed and killed. I would say my prayers, my rosary, you didn't go right. Had my knife with me, you didn't. Had my mace with me, you didn't go right. I remember my washing clothes at tuxedos, washing, and I would, baby, I would say a whole bunch of novenas. Because you don't know on that at nighttime who on that trail. Okay? So let me tell you, and now that's, and these people that resemble me, look like me, lighter than me, and darker than me. Okay? They're going to do it. So you cannot say the same thing. Okay? That's all I say. I know she a full blown white woman, but if I had white people in the past as individuals help me out, and then, like I said, I told that white man, you better not set me up when the day when the neo-Nazis was out there that night at the corner store. They wouldn't go. They ain't going to walk around on Alabama Street. If you going toward, if I know what time I'm going towards the freeway walking because I missed the bus, it's the 7-8 bus, and I forgot you can go catch an 82 bus or 25 bus. But I was trying to get the hell out, so I go ahead and go back home to my grandparents. And I was 21 years old, and I told him, I said, "You better not set me up." And God that day had that white man take me in his car and put me in downtown so neo-Nazi thugs would not attack me. 2000 during Lent season. Y'all know about, from Ash Wednesday to Easter, called Lent, the 4 days of the desert when the Israel, with Moses, and the 4 day of Jesus on the desert. That's why we had a Lent. Okay, so did I get it? We fast. Remember when he said the bridegroom leads, the church is the bride. They should fast. We fast in them days. Okay, don't meet on Fridays. So like I said, we're doing Lenten season. I want to go with those biblical, and I learned a lot of biblical stuff about my Catholic faith, talking with the priests and bishops, and had the best. That was the best catechism I had because they were teaching that in our catechism. I'll go there with my Bible and learn about stuff. And he debate. And one thing that priest I was talking to debate with those anti-Catholic Protestants, the people from the Church of Christ or Baptist or Pentecostal, he debates with them. He brings up the Bible and point out the Catholic Church teaching in Scripture. And I love the fact that, and I missed that era of me because I was very biblical, I wasn't perfect, but I was trying to live good. I wasn't cussing as much in my early 20s, you know what I'm saying, trying to live right. So that's why, and I'm telling you, you cannot sit here and make that argument. And I know you're gonna say that I'm not white, but baby, I'm mixed with white. And I'm not delusional. It's in my family tree. I have cousins, ancestors, cousins down there that I don't know and don't want to know if they are racist. When I did that family tree, it was a shock to me. So, because we don't have knowledge of self, okay? And I wish that Nolan parents would told him about his history, but same time, don't judge by character, and don't be naive. Even your best friend. There's many cases. I'm going to bring some real stories. If y'all know a story about a brother who was a cop, his dad was a cop, okay, in Missouri City. Okay, my grandma know them. My grandma deceased. So my cousin aunt was a lawyer, and she from Arizona. So my aunt's son, that's my cousin. His daddy is the daddy's sister. That's his aunt, who was a lawyer, a corrupt later on. And so her former secretary, her son, the former secretary, the bright skin one, yeah, because her husband darker tone. He not that dark, like brown skin. But anyway, she was secretary of the law firm, and he was a cop in the Missouri City. And I'm not gonna mention names, but if you ever know, they have a brown skin, curly hair. young man. He died in 2006 or 5. His oldest is a bright skin. She can only pass for a Mexican. Okay, they came from the same parent. One came out brown, tone with curly hair. One came out real bright skin. Okay, well, the junior, that's the little young man. He just turned 20 because he won mid 80s, right? So I was 25, so my grandma told me I was in Job Corps that he got shot and killed. Now there was his best friend, who's African just like him. They been knowing each other. He told his best friend, man, stop smoking weed. The best friend got mad at this brother for telling him not to smoke weed and killed him. Now both of them African. And they've been knowing each other for a long time, just like their own white friends. You cannot look at color. And that's the argument I have, because then you're going to be teaching people to have fear of a certain ethnic group on both sides. Don't hang with them white folks. Don't hang with them Negroes. Don't hang, you know what I'm saying? Don't hang with them, them black folks. Don't hang with them Mexicans. They ain't no good. And that's why I don't like that argument, because you should be telling your kid not to trust nobody, period. And if you're going to be around a bunch of people, and I ain't the perfect kind of Christian, stay prayed up. You don't know who is your friend. Stay prayed up. Prayer is your weapon. And I ain't the perfect one. I know I'm a sinner and all that other stuff. But I tell like it is on my end.